Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories. Case file number 1093, written by awesomelylilly. How a boat defied gravity and saved our lives. When I was a kid, my mom and I were sitting at a red light. The car in front of us went while the other side was turning. The car T-boned a vehicle that had a boat on the trailer. The boat flew off the trailer and was heading straight towards our car. It was going to crash straight through our windshield. My mom screamed at me to bend forward as far as I could so it wouldn't slash my head. The very last second, the boat turned left and scraped the side of our car. It turned so abruptly, like a big invisible hand just turned it for us. Wind could be said, but there was just no wind. Just a gorgeous day where a boat should have killed or very seriously maimed us and turned at the last second out of nowhere. We were in a car without airbags. I didn't end up bending forward. I was frozen in shock. The boat wasn't skidding on the ground towards us, it was in the air. Case notes are file 1093. How a boat defied gravity and saved our lives. So even if it was a windy day, unless we're talking about a tornado-level gust of wind or a hurricane-level gust of wind, it wouldn't have made the slightest difference. The kinetic energy of an average-sized boat, figure the type you'd haul to a lake for a weekend, even traveling at a modest 10 miles per hour from a crash towards you, would be conservatively 20,000 joules of energy. We're on the order of a cannonball energy levels. No gust of wind is going to change the course of that, not over the distance you're talking about. So as you describe it, I think it's a guardian angel indeed. Nothing else really fits. Even quantum immortality wouldn't, because in those cases, there's a very obvious transition point where memory is cut. Or if you remember it, there's a small rewind, reset. If you have a memory of what happened, but you're reset back a few minutes in time in the new universe. In this case, it wasn't a transition point. It was a fluid motion from the universe itself. I'll never stop wondering why it happens, and specifically just for some people. If quantum immortality is real, then why do we need guardian angels? Maybe the guardian angels don't even know about quantum immortality. So, why not? If they're just spirits, for instance, they wouldn't necessarily know about quantum immortality. If they're just fragments of souls that are left behind, and the bulk of their soul is in a new universe, they wouldn't be consciously aware of it. They just know about this existence here. They think if you die, maybe you're just trapped in limbo forever. So they might want to save other people from that fate. Because otherwise there is a disconnect. If it's a universe itself, I don't know why they would care. Because if you die, you just go to a different universe. Unless maybe you die in every single copy, and you can't. There has to be one copy of you to reach the end. From natural age or something. Case file number 1094, written by Meme Sniffer GG. The ominous story of a needle that wouldn't go away. This is a short story, but it disturbed and confused me a lot. My little cousin found a bent needle with a white tip inside her clothes. I took it out for her and threw it in the trash. Later, when we were having lunch, I made myself a sandwich with my own hands. When I took a bite, I found the exact same needle digging in my teeth. My gums started bleeding. It was the same bent needle with a white tip. I thought maybe I was overthinking it, so I just went on with my day. When I went to sleep the same night, I found it under my pillow, and yet again, it was that bent needle with the white tip. I threw it in the trash again. 2 days later, I forgot about it and went out with my friends, and as I was paying for my drink, I found it in my pockets and threw it in the trash yet again. I haven't seen it since. Case notes for file 1094. The ominous story of the needle that wouldn't go away. So the key detail is how it eventually did go away. But this is when you were at a different location, movie theater. So maybe the distance was great enough that even as a cursed object, it wasn't able to follow you. Frankly, I'm not yet convinced over curses exactly. But the fact it appeared inside your own sandwich is deeply freaky. It's not like you could accidentally make a sandwich with the needle. Like if you threw it away and it's stuck in your clothing or something, you would still notice it. And then it kept coming back. There's no explanation for that in my mind. And it's not like it would be a prank. That would be easily attempted murder. If you swallowed it, that you don't want that to happen. Case file number 1095, written by Garbagegoat, the can of Coke Zero that healed itself. I was working in my garden and had gotten myself a can of Coke Zero. I cracked it open on my way out the back door, took a few hearty chugs, and sat it on my small garden table I keep out by my raised beds, and got back to working in the garden. I have wireless earbuds in and listening to a podcast as I work on cleaning the pumpkin patch of weeds, when out of the blue I hear and practically feel a loud bang, to the point I exclaim loudly, "What the fluck?" and pull my earbuds out. I live in a rough neighborhood. There's been shootings and whatnot, so I kind of duck down and start looking around to get a feel of things. That's when I see it. My can of Coke is knocked down to the ground and just spitting foamy Coke everywhere. No way that's the noise, right? But I run over and pick it up, with the logic being Diet Coke probably isn't even good for plants. And I wipe it clean and start looking it over, and realize not only is it full, it's completely unopened. I know I opened it. I know I drank half of it. And I know moments before, I had seen it laying on the ground shooting Coke up into the air. I even had to wipe it off. I have no idea what the bang was or how my open spilled Coke suddenly became full and unopened in my hands. Case notes for file 1095, the can of Coke that healed itself. So yeah, this probably is one of the more classic examples of quantum immortality. What an account too, damn. Imagine living in an area where there are random shootings at night. What happened, I think, is that the bullet accidentally hit you. I doubt anyone was trying to harm you specifically. It was just passing through the can of Coke, or maybe there was a second one after the first one, which did actually damage the can of Coke, which was fizzing everywhere, spilling the delicious nectar all over the place. And then there was another one, and then that's the point when you actually died, and then you're in a new universe, one where no one shot anyone, and the can of Coke was unharmed, and you were too. And even if you didn't immediately pass away, adrenaline is a crazy wild drug where you wouldn't even necessarily feel anything. Even from the shock too, you can get hit and not notice right away, so you may have died without even realizing it happened. There's no transition point either, but the memories are very clear of what happened, and it's a point in time where I don't think anything else would explain the can of Coke just healing itself. It wasn't reset, unless it was a time rewind, but if that's the case, it would just have repeated. You would have heard the same thing happening again. One thing's for sure, I certainly hope you moved areas, because that's not a place I would want to live. Some of the inner cities aren't exactly hospitable. Although, back in Montreal, that was a pretty safe place, even at night. I like that. Originally, I was just a doorman for, like a indoor doorman, like electronic doors. So just like the night watchman, you could say, for a condominium in downtown Montreal. Quite like that. And I'd bike there at like 11 p.m., finish at 7 a.m., bike home, get a dozen donuts on the way back. Tim Hortons. Good stuff. Bonus file, written by Pepper Reddits. The night I saw a ghostly apparition of my mother. So, when I was a kid, I slept with my bedroom door open because my cat likes to cuddle me. Our hallway was just a round hallway, and I could see the bathroom door and my parents' bedroom door. Though it was dark, it was in view. I also slept with my lights only dimmed. One night, I couldn't sleep for some reason. I for some reason called out for my mom, and I saw her standing near my doorway, kind of turned away from me with her hand on her face and her hair draping. I know it's her because she slept in a big purple t-shirt that night, but she's completely still, static. Mind you, I'm wide freaking awake. I might have been watching TV before this, 3 a.m. Disney Channel probably. When I call out to her, she doesn't move at all. Blink. She's gone. I start freaking out and calling out to her for real. And that's when I hear her door open and close, and my mom rushes to my aid. I think she either slept with me all night, or I stayed up all night watching TV to pacify myself. I started sleeping with my door closed out of that, and I don't look too carefully in darkness now. Case notes for the bonus file. The night I saw a ghostly apparition of my mother. So I too slept with lights on, even into my teenage years. Not anymore, But there's a certain comfort from the warm glow of light. Even now, sometimes I'll nap with the lights on, and it's just kind of comforting. It's like a warm blanket of light. So in the case of this story, hypnagogia is possible here. It's not sleep paralysis, sort of a softer variant of it, where you're in that transition from sleep to waking, but you're not paralyzed. You can still move your body normally. Yet, the mind can conjure up visions and other anomalies like you're still partially dreaming. It could also have been astral projection, given that your mom was wearing the proper attire, as you would have expected it based on what she was wearing the night, a few hours before she went to bed. Wearing the same thing does indicate it could be astral projection. You were calling out to her, her soul just latched on and came to check on you. Either way, pretty wholesome. Nothing to fear in my mind. And now time for the quote of the day. I love deadlines. I like the whooshing sound they make as they fly by. Douglas Adams. Right. Deadlines. I never really mentioned how I operate the channel and how I'm so consistent, and I try to be. It's not necessarily that I'm consistent day to day, it's that I have a buffer going. I keep things buffered on the channel, so there's a lot of episodes ahead. I try to make one extra per week. So that way, if I have a day where I just want to veg out and I'm lazy or I didn't sleep enough so I can't even speak, my mind's not there, then I'll just take the day off or a few hours off, or I don't really have a set schedule. I just work when I feel like it, to an extent, and then just try to produce enough to have a buffer. And that way, I don't really operate on deadlines necessarily. I think for most people this might not even work. People do require deadlines of a certain sort, but it works for me, so that's cool. I like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.